But now we're going to focus back on the situation at Chelsea, and to discuss the future of the club and its potential sale, we're joined by journalist Arash Massoudi from the Financial Times. Good morning to you, Arash. What a remarkable week it's been then for Chelsea, with the government sanctioning Roman Abramovich. How much trouble is the club in right now?
It's really hard to understate how dramatic a situation this is. Chelsea is only operating under a special grant from the government because of Abramovich being sanctioned. Chelsea's existence effectively is de facto written by the fact that this license exists. And the license is incredibly strict. It's designed to basically prevent any kind of funding, any potential where money could reach Roman Abramovich from being cut out of the club. That means all new revenue-raising activities are gone. Until yesterday, when they amended the amount of money the club could spend on match days to finance the funding of the performance of a match, that number was incredibly restricted. It's now £900,000. Its shirt and sleeve sponsor, 3 and Hyundai, have suspended their partnership with the club until further review. It'll be interesting to see what Chelsea's jerseys look like when they come out this afternoon. It may have been too late to strip those off. I mean, they cannot transfer players. They cannot loan players. The sale of the club is off. However, the government said that it is open to the club making a new application for a sale, so long as the fundamental condition is that absolutely no money reaches Roman Abramovich under any circumstance. I mean, this is such a stark contrast to just a few months ago, or last month in February, when they lifted the Club World Cup championship and were the champions of global club football. Now it's a club on the brink of survival, on the brink of collapse, and this situation is designed to exert maximum pain on Roman Abramovich, and Chelsea, unfortunately, is suffering as part of that.
Arash, you talked about the potential conditions for a sale. Do you think Chelsea would be more attractive to buyers now that we know the money will not go to Roman Abramovich?
Well, that could be actually one way of thinking about it. It could be more attractive in that sense, but it has different sort of aspects there, because the financial condition of the club and the sort of reputation of the club are being run through the ringers with every passing day. And the truth is, the club, while it has a great academy, has certain things that have not gone untouched that need investment, like the stadium. Its wage bill is more or less, without Abramovich having underwritten it, unsustainable. So therefore, any buyer is going to have to keep that in mind. And of course, in the midst of this conflict, how does one even transact under these circumstances? So what's been added is an enormous amount of complexity to the situation, and therefore maybe it's more attractive because Abramovich has de facto been removed from the equation by the government. But what has been introduced is so much uncertainty, so much confusion around the status of the club at all levels, that it's really in a bad place, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, we're hearing all sorts, aren't we? We were hearing this week, from actual staff members just losing their jobs. So it's affecting at all levels. Obviously, we mustn't forget that. This is affecting a lot of Chelsea staff, not just the players and the manager. We know he wanted around £3 billion for this club. How much do you think it's worth?
I think it's not. I don't see, unless there's some sort of competitive bidding war situation where you have lots of people going at it very quickly, that I don't see how it could go at this level. The wage bill is huge. Again, like I said, the stadium needs reinvestment. That was something Abramovich had planned to do for years, but he held off from doing it after the Salisbury attacks in 2018 involving Sergei Skripal and the poisoning there, and his visa not being renewed. So he held off on the investment in the stadium. There's a lot of money that needs to be spent to keep Chelsea at the level it's at, and therefore there's a lot of risk inherent in the transaction. And while it's a prime London asset in the world's most powerful football league, there's a lot of considerations here, and I think spending $3 billion at this time would be hard to imagine unless there's so much certainty. You get these kind of big prices I cover corporate acquisitions, but when there's situations when there's a lot of confidence on both sides is how you maximize value. And in this case, you have basically no confidence on either side. And so in the vacuum of that situation, it's very hard to imagine how one could get such a price level.
Arash, some of my colleagues in the English print media, they've done a terrific job over the past couple of weeks, actually, to ascertain some of the names of the people interested in buying Chelsea. But we had Tariq Pandya from the New York Times on here last weekend, and he said, look, be wary of some of the names that are in the public domain at the moment, because very often, as we see with these club acquisitions, the actual buyers generally come very late, and you don't normally see them doing too much talking or even briefing in the public domain beforehand. Do you agree with that?
That's certainly possible, but equally, I think part of the kind of marketing campaign that some of the bidders who have been mentioned are doing is to sort of socialize their names and get everyone comfortable around it. So we have several. I have a list of sort of U.S. billionaires here who are taking a very serious look, from Josh Harris, who's actually a minority owner of Crystal Palace and would have to dispose of his stake. Todd Bowley, who's working with a consortium of people, and there's been lots of press around his bid. He owns the Los Angeles Dodgers with a group of people. The Ricketts family, which owns the Chicago Cubs. You have Woody Johnson, the former U.S. ambassador to the U.K., who owns the New York Jets. You have Vivek Randive, who's the owner of the NBA team Sacramento Kings and is a big tech billionaire in the U.S. So there's no shortage of people looking for prime sporting assets. You have the Nick Candy's consortium here in the UK, is a property mogul. You have the Enios clan, who took a serious look at Chelsea in 2018. They own Nice and a team in Switzerland, and have been looking for an asset potentially like Chelsea. So there's no shortage of people, but I agree that, there are probably people in this process we're not fully aware of. But equally, I think what you're seeing and why a lot of this press is coming out is that people want to be associated with the Chelsea name so that they can build momentum towards a bid and sort of socialize their involvement.
Arash, how do you see this panning out? What every Chelsea fan, I guess, wants to know today. Are they in desperate trouble? If this deal can't be done quickly, what is the future of Chelsea Football Club?
Yes, Chelsea are in desperate trouble. This is a terrible situation for the club. But de facto, it's the way it is. I mean, they rode 20 years of a Russian oligarch owning the club, and there was a risk inherent to that, given the way relations were going with the West. And the 2018 attacks were a serious warning. Attack in the UK on 2 individuals living here was a serious warning sign. And sort of, while the trophies and all these things that bring fans joy are important, unfortunately, things matter beyond football, and there's consequences for how things are underwritten. And this club was run effectively with the fortune of a person who the UK has now said is no longer tolerable to our society in any way, shape, or form, and therefore is no longer part of the social fabric of this place and is banned, and anything touching him is banned. So because Chelsea means so much to the community and to London and to football, the government has granted these permissions to the club. But if this sale does not happen quickly, I mean, this is a club going down very quickly.
Goodness me. Arash, thank you so much for joining us.